want to.
No, I mean, I can also, when I share the screen, I can also open Google, for example.
Yeah. David will sort out any problems. Our fantastic engineer, like a ghost in the background with his fingers on the controls.
Okay, now I just stopped it for a minute. The sharing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we wait a couple of minutes and let people late arrive.
Hold up some other people. Hello.
Everyone's arriving. Nice and simple.
Me, I only did Zoom so far with the kids, with my son at the school, with the teacher at 9 in the morning saying hello, and everybody, hello, Angela.
Well, maybe you could do an online lesson tonight.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Give it one more, 30 seconds or a minute or something, and then we'll crack on. Just any more people going to?
Hey, no, it's exciting to be.
We got a lot of people watching. People are quite shy, aren't they? Sometimes, they want to be doing their cooking while they're dipping in and out. Okay, let's go for it. David will let everyone in. David's our engineer, as I said before. Big thanks to him. He's done all these talks. He's always on call. He's always on hand, and he's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you, David. So, welcome to Grow at Home Artist Talks, a series where we hear from artists and authors about their work and practice. Grow at Home was made possible by the Arts Council England, Cultural Recovery Fund. Thank you. So we'll be live streaming and recording tonight, and this will be archived on our website. And we also use some screen grabs for publicity purposes. So please be aware that if you're not comfortable being recorded, you need to switch off your webcam. There'll be a question and answers at the end of the talk. Please ask any questions and comments you have in the chat, put them in the chat, and I'll feed them to the artist at the end. So we're really pleased to welcome Giacomo Buffarini, aka Run. He's a Hackney-based artist whose recognizable style shows a level of detail and complexity rarely seen in street art, often through his vivid rendering of interlocking bodies in symbolic poses and pattern-like friezes in bright, arresting colors. Run's career spans over 20 years, from his beginnings painting on walls and trucks in his homeland of Italy, to the international reputation he has now that has seen him working on projects across the world, from China to Senegal. And he's become one of the most popular graffiti and mural artists in his adopted home of East London. There can't be many residents of Hackney and Shoreditch who haven't seen his signature crowds of heads or iconic running figures, reminiscent of both Italian futurism and the Mexican muralist, but reimagined for the fast pace of our city in the 21st century. Run is also a printmaker and a book illustrator. Welcome, Run, aka Giacomo.
Hey! Wow, what an introduction. It's like, I feel like it's a bit too much. Peter, you disappear with the screen. You were saying, can you talk when I talk as well? Is your mic always on?
I can do, but I'd rather just let you talk.
Okay.
Ask me anything you want.
Okay, no, yeah, but yeah. No, yeah, thanks for the introduction. I like it. It's partly true, partly it's a bit, I mean, for example, the fact that I did many lorries or train, it's not really true. I mean, I did few, I was always a bit scared. I was always on my own doing those things. Yeah, I wasn't very attracted by it. Attracted to the point to continuing to do graffiti and stuff, graffiti and tag and train, things like this. No, I don't know, me, okay, yeah, I've been painting for about 20 years, so 21 years. I started in Italy, where I come from. maybe I always like to puntualize one thing, which is that maybe in Italy, since at that time, around 99, 2000, there's been like a kind of, we invented our Italian style a little bit of street art, which it wasn't called street art yet. And our style, it was very much skipping big pots of paint, water-based paint. And I think because the architectural of abandoned place in Italy, in the countryside, you can go in the countryside and you find those massive factories which are completely empty. The walls are like 30 feet high. I mean, they are gigantic. And so we used to go in those places a lot and just very chilled with the car. I can't say with the music because we didn't have many iPod and stuff, you know, obviously. A very laid-back approach, freely, basically. And this one, I think it gave us a particular style in the sense that me and my mate, we used to paint with roll, lot of splash of paint, but we didn't have spray can, for example, at all. And sometimes because we didn't have a ladder or a way to climb up, so we started using a pole stick, telescopic pole. And this allowed us to find our own language, basically, to recreate. I mean, it was more figurative than lettering since the beginning. And also, apart from the abandoned factory or abandoned spaces, because obviously what we were doing, it was illegal, still illegal. It wasn't on, it was in someone else's property anyway. And but also, I like to say that in other spaces, they gave us the chance of developing our style and paint and enjoy this art. It was all the social center and the squat. In English, you call it more squats, which they were like free places where people used to make their own things, and so art, and so music and everything. And so in those places, there were a lot of graffiti and a lot of our murals as well. And then at some point, we were, I speak, when I say we, because we were 4 or 5 friends, which also today they still painting. I mean, one of them is Blue, or Eric Alcane. I don't know if you heard of him as well. Dem, D-E-M. Heatness, which is another friend from Rome. They paints animals and he paints in the same way. And so at some point they started calling us from one city to another one, like going to, for example, I come from Ancona, which is, Ancona is on the east side of Italy. So from there, we used to go to Rome or to Milan. Maybe they were proposing us to paint the facade of a building, etc. And they were guesting us there around 2003 until 2004, 5, and yeah, and that was a really creative and formative phase, I think, because we kind of, each one of us, he started doing his own style, sometimes even trying not to be too similar with each other, because yeah, we wanted to find our own way of doing things, you know? And yeah, and then it's been an amazing time. I remember in Italy in 2002, every year in Bologna they used to do this huge street parade, like with thousands of people, and track with music, thousands and thousands of people. And one night we went to the street parade with the bucket of paint and brushes, and basically all along where the street parade was passing, we were painting. Like in the parade, I mean, it's quite elegant. It's grand on grand and old building. But as soon we went out of the, let's say the boulevard around Bologna, still in the center, as soon we went out of that, then the city started to be a bit more industrial. And so then we started painting on those streets where, along with other thousands of people, we were passing by, and it was amazing. It was properly like taking over the city, even if we were just 3 or 4 of us. But in that night, that's what happened. Yeah, this is just one of the many things. Then me, I for since 2000, I've been living in Florence. And Florence, it was a city that it was a bit untouchable because, I mean, there is a big, strong graffiti scene, which they are very kind of, I don't know if it's the right way to say, but very orthodox. I mean, they do tagging and they do lettering. And don't you dare to go near them if you are not invited, or in some places where they paint usually. So me, I was in Florence. I had this style of painting with paintbrush, doing like strange drippy characters. So the graffiti writers, they weren't seeing me very well. Plus, one time I did a big mistake of crossing one of the writing. And so I was completely banned. They started covering me. So I had this little issue when we started doing street art. We were basically the first people doing it. And so all the graffiti writers, which they were the most similar things to me in a way, also because I come from that kind of background, but I left it very soon. And so I felt that I was a bit discriminated. Not that I care. I mean, not that I was suffering from it, but I must recognize this thing. No, like, I mean, it was clear, crystal clear. No, and anyway, and also Florence it's also very. I mean, I don't know if you ever been in Florence, but the center is completely touristic and everything is very old. So it's not the. I was painting all over the center. It's quite hard to change as a city because it's very old and so very kind of conservative in that way. There's a lot of art, but it's art of 300, 400, 500 years ago and more. So anyway, there as well, there was this channel of squats and social meeting point with a lot of other artists of the area, of the city, and also from other town. So me, I've been living there. I've been doing a lot of jobs. And then at some point I was painting on the street, and there was this guy, which was an Egyptian guy, very rich and very all involved in fashion. It was his name was Tarek, and he was from Egypt, but he was in Florence in many years, and he used to basically he had a lot of money and he had to do something with those money. So one day he stopped me on the street. He knew who I was, and he told me, "Listen, I see your stuff." He was all talking always like this. And he said, I pay you to draw for me. If you draw, we do a brand, clothing brand, like a street art, streetwear. I was like, okay. And he said, I pay you £10 an hour if you draw. I was like, wow, £10 an hour just for drawing. I mean, this is what I was doing all the time. So I was working for him. And everyone was like, Giacomo, how can you work for Tarek? I mean, he never paid anyone. He always argued with people. He does those like he had fight with people for not paying. And me, after a while, I was like, well, he always paid me, and he's taking me in Paris, in Barcelona, in Berlin, in London for all the fashion fair and stuff. And basically, me, I was drawing the print for this label, for this brand, which was called Dangerous Work. And it was quite fun. And then at some point I met, because he was quite like in a kind of avant-garde of what he was doing. He was already getting involved a lot of European artists like Black Lerat. So he had his showroom with a lot of. They say that the father of Banksy, you know, is not the father, but the master of Banksy, because he was the first one doing the rats around Paris. So I got to know with him. It was an amazing experience. It was a bit like I mean, he was a bit like a bully guy, but he certainly taught me a lot, especially of the fashion world, that then I didn't want to have anything to do anymore with that. And that was when I was 23, 25, 26, I've been working for him. So, and also I had the big luck of the big chance to meet a couple of really amazing artists from Paris, which they were like the first graffiti artist in Paris in the 80s. And one of them is J1, and another one is Ski, SKKI. Anyway, maybe you don't know them, but you can go and see them. And so basically they were working for Tarek, but them being older than me, with more experience, they were a bit taking advantage of him instead of him taking advantage of them. And so I think that's probably not the very first time, but it was the first time that I was like, okay, I can, I mean, this is like a job for me now. Drawing is a job. It's the only job that I have that can give me that amount of money. Otherwise, I have to do waitering or other job, which they weren't mine. So after a while, I break up with this guy, with this business thing. And I met a person, and with this person, I came to London. That was 2007. And so in London, I had to reset a little bit everything because I didn't know anyone. And also I wasn't speaking any English, basically. And plus, I wasn't really understanding in London how people were painting, or how was the approach with street painting and stuff like this. The first very person that I met that was painting graffiti, I met in Stockwell in Brixton at the Hall of Fame, and it was this guy called Alex Nemo, I think it was his tag. Anyway, I met him, we started chatting, and me at the time I was living in South London, in near Brixton, and so I had an appointment with him to go and paint in Greenwich, which I didn't have an idea of where he was. So me, with the few paint that I had, I don't even remember if I bought them or I found them, some of them, with this big IKEA bag and plus brushes and rolls and stuff. I went to meet him, and we did something very dodgy. We went in a place where we weren't allowed to go, and we climbed a fence, a big brick concrete wall, and we painted, and we were all like, I mean, he was looking at the back when I was painting, and I was doing the same when he was painting. And also I remember that he was telling me those stories of his house being raided by police looking for spray can and computer. So they took his computer, and he was saying to me, I hide a USB stick with a picture of my graffiti in a park, on a tree inside a plastic bag. And I was like, oh my God. I was thinking, my God, I don't want all this adrenaline necessarily now. I just want to keep on doing what I was doing in Italy, which was very, I mean, it was challenging, but it was worried. I was like, wow. I mean, I know that there's people that go painting train with balaclava all hidden and they do these kind of things. But me, I was more used to go in places where maybe there was a bar and a friend and I could paint the wall, I had facilities and stuff. So I find it quite challenging. But also I quite soon understood that in England, like, well, in Italy, everywhere actually, the spray is associated with crime a lot. So graffiti, vandalism, and stuff like this. And so I didn't have any intention to buy spray or to start using spray. And so one day I wanted to try to choose a spot and go there, covering my ass, but also covering the floor, the pavement, in the sense that I wanted to be clean. I want to try to paint in the daytime with my bucket of paint, my bucket of water, obviously chatting with people, but it was very new. For me, it was very new. And I wanted to try this thing. And at the time, from South London, I went to live in near Finsbury Park, in Manor House. And there was this spot that I was always pointing every time that I was passing with the bus, which was right in front of the Finsbury Park station. And it was an ex-pub, which if someone has been hanging around in the 80s or 90s, or even before in Finsbury Park, they know it 100%. It was a pub where a lot of people had played punk band and stuff. Now I don't remember the name. So this pub had some board on the window. It was empty since many years, probably, I don't know how many years. Now it's complete. So I painted on those board. There were 3 windows, quite big windows. And I did those faces, which I was starting doing in those years, 2006, 7, and then 8. And nowadays I'm still doing them. And so I did those faces, all different colors, because I was, well, I imagine I was coming from Florence, but I come from a city which is basically a little village in the coast of Italy, quite industrial, but very Italian, very white. I mean, we never had, my generation, it's rare that we had different races, different people from around the world, etc. So for me, I was still like enjoying this multiculturalism, all this diversity in London, which I was new. I was here since only a couple of years. So I started doing these faces with colors, all different colors that they mix each other. And that day in Finsbury Park, I really enjoyed it. It was a Sunday morning, and I really enjoyed because people, I was starting to kind of entering the psychology of people. Like, what do they think when they see someone like this? If they see it, some people doesn't even see you. And some other people stop, is curious. It's rare, for me, it's always been rare that people complained, because primarily probably because I even go near it, because it's maybe looks dirty or it looks like it can fall. And so I'm not aiming at spaces that are protected, that are new, and there's someone property clearly. I mean, it's. I mean, this is obvious, because otherwise I would get in trouble if I do it in the daytime. You know? Anyone would. So that day I really enjoy it. I had a lot of interaction with people, and I think it created me also a little bit of addiction, this thing, because I don't know if it's a bit between the ego and the curiosity, and also the fact that I need and I need to paint. So after that time, there's been many others, because nowadays going around looking about what it could be in that wall, or how amazing it can be, how a mural day can like kind of bind together lots of well, a lot of situation, a lot of community, people. I mean, it gives like a big identity, you know, a place. I mean, I'm sure we can all say it, but I'm constantly thinking, I mean, muralism, a mural is so beautifully done. You have to, I mean, we need to think that we can't put everyone minds together and agree, or everyone, if someone wants to do something creative. I don't know, I'm on this kind of school of thought or advice, because I also try to put people all together or agree in a project or in a sketch, and sometimes it's difficult, and therefore sometimes it's easy that the project doesn't happen, because if you don't put everyone together, but at the same time, sometimes I think, oh, maybe we can trust who is up for spending time and effort to make something happen. I don't know, let's believe in this person. I don't know. But also, yeah, I mean, me, I'm always shown what I was doing, and talked about the idea that I had to what I wanted to do. So sometimes people gave me the possibility, or the situation was allowed me to, the situation made it so that I could paint, basically. But going back to the fact that I was choosing places on the street, and carefully I was kind of touching the ground. Potentially, sometimes I was asking the next door neighbor, which maybe was, sometimes it was like an off license, or a house or a shop, and I was choosing those walls, and I was going there and painting them. Basically, that's what it was. I was doing it in the weekend, because always putting myself in the psychology of people, I was thinking, okay, if I do it in a weekend, a lot of business are closed, people is more chilled. I don't know. I was trying to adjusting the shoot to make this more perfect, basically, and feeling more confident to do so. So yeah, and then slowly that's the thing, you know, is becoming more perfect, let's say, to do something. So I have a little equipment for myself to transport paint, because I can't go just with a little bag. So I need a lot of like a trolley, late cardboard to put on the floor, and all this stuff. It was always like a bit like a performance in a way. This is what I also enjoy. Yeah. And And now, for example, there are a couple of spots here, especially here in Clapton, because I'm very lazy and I don't travel much to paint. Well, at least in London. And in those places, I feel completely confident because those walls are, I've been taking care of them, basically. Taking care of a little corner of a part of a city, of a big city. Me, I'm curating those corners, basically. Yeah. And yeah, for example, here in Clapton, there's a few that I think people is also expecting to see a new version of them, because that's what I made people used to see this change in those walls. And so, and it's funny because sometimes actually there's been an event which then it didn't fall through, but there's been a company once that they actually asked me the permission, and this was a commercial company. They contacted me, they asked me the permission of doing a commercial thing on that wall or next to that wall. And I was like, I didn't know what to say, but at the end, I wanted to keep the wall free of business or commercial stuff. And so I said, no, you can't do it. And so, yeah, there's many things that happen now when you do this, because you cross your path with a lot of people. What you're doing is public, so it's in the public place, public space, public domain. So it's everything is been predictable also. Yeah, I mean, you don't know, but it's always been positive. That's the main thing. Then it's been positive in many different ways. And that's what also kept me wanted to do it more, better, to get better. And then I'm gonna, actually, I already did a wall this, I can show it to you. It's a wall that I did in Cambridge. Okay. Share. Post. Cambridge Museum. I am working with a museum, and the Museum of Cambridge, the Fitzwilliam Museum. Indoor, and I did a mural indoor, a mural outdoor, and now at the end of March I'm doing another mural outdoor in Cambridge. It's okay, the resolution. Well, I just wanted to show you this. It's not. Yeah, it's my first mural of 2021. Maybe later I take you a bit through this, the hands, and the connection with this museum. Do you want to ask me anything?
Do you want to share some? Do you want to share some pictures, and you can talk over them, maybe?
Like yeah.
Last year's work. I know you did the residence. You did a residency at Grow, which was fantastic, and a very strange one because you just started it as COVID kicked in, and so all your plans changed immediately, like everyone else's. So, I mean, just
can I show you through
and chat over that?
Can I show you through this?
Yeah, if you make them full screen and share.
Yeah.
Any problems? David's here to.
Okay. Hopefully no. No, I just want to use the browser, which is my. This is a blog inside my website. My website is runabc.org, but it's not. I mean, that's my fault. The website is the last update is in 2012, so it's completely obsolete at the moment. Plus, then the social media they took over, so the website is not up to date. This is my blog, which is called the Sunday Painter, just because I choose this name, which also is the name of a gallery in Peckham. But I choose the Sunday Painter because, as I was telling you before, when I used to go and paint outside in London, and also now, for a reason or another one, I was doing it on Saturday or Sunday. So that's why I call this blog the Sunday Painter. It's my blog since few years. And this is the last update on this one as well, is the painting at the Grove, which I did during my residency, and there's only 2 versions. There's also a 3rd version, which is not here.
Okay.
This one, do you remember that this one has been vandalized?
I can't see them. Can everyone see them?
Ah, can you not see them? Okay, sorry. You know why? Because
David will talk you through it.
Sorry, because I'm not sharing the screen. I'm only sharing the. I'm only watching it myself. Okay, there. So, okay, now you can see it. Maybe it's a bit small. Do this.
That's okay.
Okay. Anyway, this is the work at the Grove, which I was saying. I don't know if you remember, Peter, that it was there's been vandalized. This one especially.
Yeah, not very well either.
No,
not very interesting vandalism.
They wrote garbage, I think. Which, in some sort of way, I think also that time we were saying it, that it's better than nothing at some point. I mean, if someone take the effort to write something, I don't know, at least it make me think, but not about my painting if it was good or not. It make me think of what people do when they have a reaction, basically. I can go back in this blog. Actually, I should start from the beginning.
Are these monoprints?
Those are monoprint, yeah.
How do you make those?
Those, it's a process that is more easy to watch it than to explain it. I mean, to explain it sounds sometimes it sounds difficult, but it's very straightforward. It's like painting with a printing ink, obviously, with a sticky ink on a plate of a flat plate of Prospect, for example, and then using a press like an etching press. Those one that they have like cylinder. You press. You basically use the plate as a stamp. Almost, and so you press it with paper under the print press, and then you have one print because all the ink is transferred into the paper basically, and so it kind of disappear from the from the plate, so you can't print it anymore. So that's why it's called monoprint, only one.
Yeah.
But me, what I do, I also do a second print, which I call, it's called the ghost print. And the ghost print, it comes out much more pale. And so I hand finish it because it gives you this amazing texture of, well, in this case, it's gray. It's really amazing texture that you can't reach it otherwise with like with a hand technique. And then if you see all these lines, I did it with just with a darker pencil and with the ruler to go straight. And this is called monotype. This is me, because going back in time, only in 2018, I went to China for, I've been there for several times, but I only been in the city of Shenzhen, which is just next to Hong Kong. And those pictures are basically the screenshot of a short film that I did when I was there in 2018 for the Biennale of Architecture. And me and other two artists, we've been asked to paint some murals in this little district where all the Biennale was happening. So there was a massive complex of buildings which they were abandoned. I think they were factories, very square, very white building, and inside they set up all the Biennale, which was like it's like the Biennale of Art. So no, every country participates. Every country's got like a little pavilion or space to present a project or a work of them. So around this district, which was apparently the oldest part of the town. So Shenzhen, it's until 1970s, it was basically a fisherman village of 30 or 40,000 people. And then in 97, something changed in the legislation of China, of some business things open, basically, agreement with the West. And the old China basically redirected all its economy in Shenzhen. So Shenzhen, from 97 till nowadays, it became like a monster of million and million of people, like 15 or 20 million. And where this Biennale was happening, it was like the old town, they call it, like the proper center of, there was only that part before. And it's strange because when they tell you, I take you to see the old palace in this old town, you imagine, like, I don't know, me, I imagine Rome, for example. And I imagine some part of Rome that are like thousands of years old, or like a little thing that you can see that is very old. But there's nothing old anymore. They destroyed everything, basically. I mean, if something is old, it's 70, 80 years old, maybe 200 years old, but they basically destroyed everything that was old, and they build and they keep building and building with no stop.
Do you think that talking about things lasting and things being temporary, Giordano, I mean, street art is notoriously temporary. You know, someone may go over it, or it may get taken. The building may get taken down if it's an old building, like in Italy, the old factories and that. Giordano's asked a question, and she says she's really enjoying being taken on your journey, as we all are, and hearing all these insights. Yeah. She said it's really interesting hearing about the performative aspects of your work, and she's got a technical question. And you mentioned that you use water-based paints. And does it degrade? Does it wear off quickly? And if so, bringing back to that point, do you mind that it gets degraded and destroyed and removed?
Well, the water-based is a bit weaker than oil-based, but the paint that I use are made for be outside, are masonry paint. Or in Italy we call it quartz because they have quartz metal inside, and they are durable in time. Yeah. Then I mean, the technology of paint, they got to make some product that they last for 20 years or more. And then, yeah, obviously, yeah, they start degrading. It also depends where you do it, no? Because, like, I mean, a painting next to the canal, it probably lasts much less than one somewhere else that is away from the water or away from the rain. Also, for example, away from the sunshine, direct sunshine all the time, it fades the pigment a lot. So yeah, the mural, I mean, the painting, they change. Sometimes they even get better in some way, because like, I mean, just like a dress, you know, when you wear it a little bit, maybe you feel it more or you feel there is more part of life in a way. And so the mural also, but for me, they do. Sometimes I'm a bit annoyed. For example, I did a mural in September here in Clapton in Millfield Park. And just the other day, I noticed that it's some parts, actually some important parts, they are just peeling off. And I was a bit, yeah, I definitely want to go and fix it at some point. Also because it's just down the road. But I think, for example, there's always reason. There's always reason. For example, I think on this one, for example, that I was saying now in Millfield Park in Clapton, there must be some pipes behind that spot. Actually, I know that there is some pipe. And so that's why, I mean, there's many reasons. Obviously, also the painting is outside, so people can scratch it, people can throw it, something, or they can paint on top. And yeah, sometimes it's a bit annoying because maybe I like it. I feel that it's part of the place, it suits their place. It's like, it's, yeah, I'm sad when they get ruined or they get too dirty or they fade away. But there's nothing you can do. I mean, it's definitely part of this kind of sport.
Do you want to take us through your blog a little bit? So we want to look at your pictures. Everyone wants to look at your pictures. I do.
Okay.
And Veronique has a question. In my intro, I said you know I kind of spanned your work between China and Senegal, which are two quite far away places. Veronique would like to know about how your work in Senegal.
In Senegal, it's been amazing. Also, only a few days ago, I was talking on the phone with the two friends that I have in Senegal that where I've been staying when I went there. I went to Senegal in 2013. And now I show you some pictures from my book. This is also another thing that I want to talk to you about. I went to Senegal in 2013 doing a journey from I went from London to Gambia, and then from Gambia by land I went to Senegal. And I must say, I mean, I'm always proud of one thing of that trip, of that journey, that I organized it very well, and I've been very lucky all the way. Because back in London in 2012, I met this guy called Lawrence, that he basically, since few years already, he was organizing artists to fly in Gambia and basically participating in a sort of festival of, let's say, he was taking artists, European artists, to paint in villages in Gambia. So villages, when I say villages, not like my village, like I said before, they are like proper village with 10 houses, no electricity, and lost in the middle of the forest, or with very difficult road to drive into to get to those places. And so I met this guy in London in an exhibition, in an art exhibition, and we start talking. And I knew his project, which was called Wide Open Walls. And basically, he didn't invite me, but I invited myself. And I said, look, if I get my ticket to come to Gambia, and he was like, I can organize everything. You can stay at mine. By the way, he's got a beautiful tourist village, which is very, I mean, it's so beautiful. It's all made in wood, and it's got that, like those floating lodge. It's beautiful. I mean, it doesn't look that it takes over anything. I mean, it didn't build like a 4-story building in the middle of the jungle. I mean, it's all very in respect with the nature. Then, of course, you're doing, I mean, you're doing business there. Anyway, I went there. And so I organized my trip there in Gambia, and then I organized in Senegal following. I went there, I stayed about 30 days in one place and 30 days in Senegal. And in Gambia was beautiful. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was going to paint with a canoe, with a guy taking me with a canoe in the river. And then I was arriving in the shore there, like 20 kids coming to pick me up, take me to the house, talking with the chief of the village, showing me the wall, which they were all little wall of little houses, basically. It was a bit strange to go and paint in places where the reality is, I mean, it's as beautiful and as terrifying. Definitely.
Have you got any pictures?
Yes.
Show us some pictures.
Yeah, picture is the best.
I love the way you describe things. You're making us, you're making whetting our appetites to see the pictures.
Okay. But on the picture in a book, they can be a bit tricky. But anyway, I don't know if you can see these. This one, for example, it's just to show you how the houses are in this Gambia villages. I mean, this is the local shop, the only shop in this town. The town was called Bafalutu, and it was very wild and beautiful at the same time. I show you one with a painting. Okay. Yeah, this one, for example, I'm not even sure if the painting at this stage was finished. No, it wasn't. And this is all the people of this village. And I was saying it was a bit strange to do street art, but okay, because if you think about the name street art in English, it sounds something. I mean, if you imagine yourself there and you're doing street art, you feel a bit like it's a bit twattish. I don't know what to say. I mean, but at the same time, I was painting and people were laughing at me. I couldn't believe where I was all the time until the end. And it was amazing journey. I always was supported by, of course, by Lawrence, this guy, which I was going back every night to stay, and but also from everyone, absolutely. I mean, if I can say it, I probably spend nothing. I never spend anything to sleep because I had a place fortunately. And to eat, I was constantly invited for lunch by everyone, and also pushed to eat as much as I could, constantly. It was amazing. This one is this fish that plays the djembe, the drum, and I did it in front of a beach. There was where someone took me one day, and we were guests by this guy called Sankule, which was actually a British guy from Plymouth, I think, and he was an old guy, very big drinker completely, and he was living there on the beach. He had this kind of very rundown kind of guest house resort thing. It was full of very well organized empty bottle of wine, 1,000 of them. And then there was this big shell of turtles, and then there was a shotgun on the wall, and then it was crazy. All the places you go, crazy, beautiful. And this guy apparently was one of the first British person to do some certain import-export in Gambia. So imagine, he was like, I mean, probably 40 years ago, he was like in the embassy, or anyway, he was a musician as well. And me, of course, everywhere I was going, this one sounds a bit arrogant sometimes when I say it, but for me, it's hard to find myself in holiday. I mean, I don't go traveling for pleasure since I don't know. Well, a few years ago, I've been in Morocco with my family, and I was like, now what do I do? I mean, I wasn't really enjoying it. If my wife hear me now, she's gonna be so pissed off, but she knows it. Me, I have to paint. I mean, and imagine going to Africa. It was such a chance, such a beautiful chance that I had. That basically I painted every day. Where I was going, I was painting, but people were easy with me and they knew it, and me, I was super happy to do it, so there was no problem. This is another painting that I did. It's one of my favorites that I did in Gambia. It was this one was like a blackboard in a shop. It was it was the only shop of this little village. It was called this village was called Makumbaya. That's another painting I did. This one, I slept in this house for a couple of nights. That's also another episode, another story. I mean, that was full of story, the Gambia. But if I can say, this one also is nice. I don't know if you can see the girl and this chick and stuff. This girl, it was like, I don't know, 5, 6 or 7 years old. And she was her, and another one which was older than her, and another one was even younger. It was like 2 years older. And them three, basically, they were left alone in this little farm, and they were doing everything until the parents they weren't coming back. So they were moving the cow, feeding all the chicken, cooking, and everything. And me, I was there painting. And then, well, this is only a detail of the painting. Then I did the others. This one, I put this photo because I love this photo because there is a kid which is here. I don't know if you can see it.
Little.
That little red dot is this kid that.
You have pictures on your blog
of that one?
Yeah, or maybe. If you run down the blog, you can show us. We can see the pictures better on the blog.
I know, but I need to catch the look, here it is. You're right. You can see them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There was one. There was the girl that I was telling you. Me, I did a speaker. Look at me. I put the speaker in the with a plastic bottle. This one was another painting that I did. Which also was this one. It was in this restaurant of a guy from Holland, married to a woman from there, and I did this painting. Now I don't know how to go back. How do I go back? Okay, so okay. Me also, I didn't tell you, when I was in Gambia, I was sleeping on a catamaran, on an abandoned catamaran at the bottom of this tourist village. At the end, there was this passage all in wood that was going to this little harbor, let's call it, and there was this catamaran, and I've been staying there for a month. And when the night that I arrived in the nighttime, and the guy came to pick me up at the airport with a car with two guys, took me there, and obviously they didn't give me a floating lodge, but they took me, they showed me the catamaran, and they say, "Is that okay for you?" And I was like, "Wow, this is the dream of my whole life, sleeping on a catamaran on the river." And when I was waking up every morning, I had like 30 baboons. Big crane, birds. It was amazing. Then I met this guy. Which his name was Abdullah Jallo, and he's an artist. It's an artist. It's a screen printer. He does everything under the sun. He doesn't use any lamp or electricity or anything. And I met him on a gig. I went to see a gig one night of this Morgan Heritage, but there was no Morgan Heritage. It was like a really bad commercial kind of reggaeton music in this kind of disco place, like a club. Me, I was the only white guy, and but I was with my buddies. I had some people that I know, that I met, and they were kind of protecting me, and were all around me. And so that night I met this guy, Abdullah Jallo. He's an artist. He was selling. He had a little stall with a T-shirt. I bought him a T-shirt, and then we exchanged number. And I say, "Look, me in a few days I'm gonna go to Senegal, but I'm still here. I do painting. If you want, I can paint in your workshop." And so I did. So I left the tourist village, say goodbye to all everyone, and I went to his place for a couple of days because his town is near the border with Senegal. So he said, "I'm going to take you on the other side of the river, and then you take a taxi." He said, don't go with a van, take a taxi. And then you go to Dakar. So I spent a few days with him. I painted his workshop. I had a really lovely time. And he actually gave half the name of my book. This is a book that I published in 2016. It's called Time Traveler, Artist Man. And he used to call me Artist Man. And so I kept this for half of the part of the title of my book. The other part, Time Traveler, is the way that sometimes jokingly my wife called me, because when I was away and there was different timing in the on the phone, where she was, it was 8 o'clock. Where I was, it was 3 o'clock and stuff. She used to call me Time Traveler. And so I put those two names together and I titled my book. And I always loved the guy way of doing, Abdullah Jallo, and we're still in contact. Him here, it's pointing. This is his workshop, which was like a sort of garage with a lot of African art craft, and of course his screen print and some painting and stuff. And he's pointing at this painting drawing, which is like a stamp, and the stamp says Ambamosco Art Production. And Ambamosco, he told me that it was his the old name of the old surname of his family before the Islam took over, because the Islam in those places in West Africa especially, he came only less than 100 years ago, which me, I didn't know. Being a religion that is much younger, for example, of Christianism. Okay.
Giacomo.
Yeah.
I have some questions. Look.
Okay.
I have some questions.
Wait, can I just see something? I need to watch. Fine. I didn't get to Senegal.
Go on, yeah, get to Senegal then. That's the
No,
longest,
okay,
the longest answer
tell
to a
me.
question I've ever heard.
Should I go to Senegal? I get to Senegal?
Get to Senegal,
Okay.
yeah.
Cutting short, so within I crossed the river Gambia. He left me to Barra, is the last city in Gambia, and then from there I didn't follow his advice. I didn't get a taxi, and I got in from first guy in this huge parking lot with full of car and truck and buses that they were ready to depart. The first guy that say, "Come here, we take you to Dakar." So I got in this Ford Transit with other 6 people. And the Ford Transit, it took like about 4 or 5 hours before leaving the parking. After 2 hours, it broke down. So I got to Dakar at like something like 4 in the morning, where the other friend, the new friend, which I didn't know, I haven't met him before. It was an Italian guy, an artist as well, a ceramist. They work with ceramic in Dakar. It's been living there for many years. So he told me, "Look, you can stay in our place, no problem, but just don't arrive at 4 in the morning." Because otherwise I need to wake up, stand out of bed, get the car, come and pick you up. Can you not arrive at 6 in the afternoon, for example? But I didn't manage it. So, but from there as well, a beautiful friendship started between me and this guy, Mauro Petroni. Ciao, Mauro. And then Dakar, all another story. Dakar, I've been, so with Mauro and his son. Mauro is 70 years old. His son, Theo, is 23. It's a DJ, he's a graphic designer. He's half, he's a graphic, he does, graphic designer. He's half French, half Italian, but he's born and raised in Dakar. So it's a bit like a white Senegalese, basically. He speaks a bit of Wolof because all his mates are from Senegal, from La Medina, from Dakar. And so in Dakar, there was this association of people that promote art. In fact, their name is Yatal Art, which means expand the art. And they created a lot of sometimes with little possibility, but event. So they make event and bit of street art and graffiti in the Medina, which is the old part of Dakar, basically. And in Dakar, so I did only 3 walls in Dakar. But at the same time as well, I painted constantly because I was there for painting, not for nothing else. This is unfortunately, this is the first book that I published. So only now I realize how I need to frame a picture in a book. Was the book? It's a book.
Where can we buy the book?
The book you can only buy from me now. It's out of sale. The book, we can talk about the book later. I mean, the book is like my second baby, basically. It took me 3 years to put it together. I did a long crowdfunding campaign, even if I had a publisher. The book has only been printed in 500 copies. And now it's out of sale because I got all the last 40 or 35 copies and I got them here in the shop.
Okay, so where's your shop? Because when do you open? April the 12th. April the 12th.
I will open April the 12th.
Everybody.
No,
where's
the shop is called Bodega. But now we have too many things. I'm naming too many things. Dakar.
Oh, this is the capitalist
the book, the shop.
This is where you sell yourself. Come on. Go over your shop.
What?
Where's your shop?
My shop is in Lower Clapton Road, number 86.
That's where you can buy the book.
Yeah, alla Bodega. Bodega
Brilliant.
shop. Yeah, you can buy the
April the 12th. You probably have queues outside your door.
April the 12th.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, tell us about your influences. I mean, I see, especially in the monoprints and things, I see like early Italian art, a bit of futurism, a bit of that classic Italian design that came out of futurism, and I see in the bigger art as well. I see like the great Mexican muralist Orozco, Siqueira, Rivera, and I obviously see a kind of a slightly Afro influence as well.
Totally. But you know what? I was because I was sure that you were asking me this kind of question. So next to me, I have a book that I bought during the first lockdown. And it's incredible because he includes a little bit everything that you said, which is true. And yeah, I mean, I wanted to show it to you because it's a book that talks about the nightclub art and life of the beginning of the 19th century all across Europe, Central Europe, especially in Vienna, both in Paris, in Germany. And and also all across the world. So from like Brooklyn, there is a place in Congo, there is a place in Tehran, scusa, sorry, Harlem, and I don't know. This is when I saw it. Obviously, I was like, "Wow, this book. There must be a lot of stuff that I already like, that I already love, and I've been." Taken from since ever. For example, yeah, futurism. I love futurism. I love the shapes. I love the color. Or Art Deco. There's some graphic design of Art Deco which I absolutely love. The simplicity of the color that they used to use at that time. This one is the one that I was saying to you, which is in Bari clubs. I think is in Congo. So yeah, me, I've always been attracted by maybe also by the word native. So, but not only the word, but also the meaning of the word native, and therefore also the faces of people. For example, the African people. When I did my tour in West Africa, there was so much that I really like to see, and yeah, it inspired me a lot. This kind of physiognomic and yeah, this kind of visual.
You seem to be attracted to places that are kind of homemade, community, outside the system. And I don't think, unless you're Italian or you've been to Italy a lot and been part of that scene, I don't think people in Britain, there isn't really an equivalent of what you call like the social centres. For example, in your town, like Culpa in Ancona and Falconara, Contatto, which are kind of, I mean, they seem to me as an outsider as kind of really well organized sort of squats that are also have maybe like a library, a music room, somewhere where people care for the kids, people make communal food. They seem like a sort of, they occupy a kind of zone in between legality and illegality. They're tolerated or something. Is that right?
Yeah, maybe that's the right word. Yeah, tolerated. Well, unfortunately, that's kind of something
tolerated, not overrated. Like the authorities allow them; they're allowed.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Peter, this is something that unfortunately we're talking about the past, because these kind of places there used to be in any town, any city. There used to be more than one, and there were the places where a lot of culture, a lot of even like for a boy or for a girl of like an older teenager. I mean, it was a place where you really could express yourself. You can hang out. There was no danger. I mean, I'm talking about fluffy thing of another era, but it's a bit true. I mean, if you when I think about it now, the kids, they don't have many space to go. And if they do, they are like, well, you need to pay something because maybe it's a pub you need to pay. I mean, as much as it's nice, but it's there's always that thing. I mean, not because I don't want to pay, but or you don't want to buy. Of course, you buy drink or food, anything. But then there is all a series of different regulation or rules and stuff. When yeah, like you said, it was social center. They were completely run by the people that they were inside. So there weren't many guests. Everyone was a guest, but it was also organizer of things. So with responsibility.
Do you think your work, if you hadn't been exposed to that as a young teenager, do you think you would have not been the person you are as an artist?
Absolutely. Well, I can't say it, but I think so, because it influenced me a lot. I mean, in those places where I art, and when I first decided to want to be like them, or want to be part of them. And so, yeah, it's been super important. Super important. For maybe it's the word underground. The link a little bit everything that has been a bit my school. Sounds very cool, eh? At least. But no, because for example, I was talking about comics. No? For example, comics, there's been a huge part for me of my inspiration. Me, I was very lucky because in my little town, there was one thing that was very well done by the council event. And it was the comics art fair. So in this little town, there was this event at the end of August. So it was very hot all the time. And there was 3 days of this comics book fair. It was a comic book fair. When in the 80s, I was 10 years older. For me, it was incredible because there were a lot of stalls with all sorts of comics that you can ever imagine. Not so much me, for example, I never followed at all Marvel comics or DC comic superhero, almost zero. But French comics or Italian comics. And me, I was so lucky because my father, he was a collector of comics. And he used to like, for example, Italian, the old school of Italian, Andrea Pazienza, which is the master of the master sound. Frigidaire, they used to do this in France, in called Metal Hurlant, which was with 3 or 4 of the
it's gone.
And free Italian comic. So I mean, I was lucky because my father was collecting those ones, and also but very well done. I mean, top class of illustrator and drawing. And so me,
I think we're losing the connection. I think we've lost the connection. I think that was pretty good, and unless Giacomo comes back, which he may do in a minute. How's it looking, David? Yeah. We could maybe get him to run through a couple of these pictures. Giacomo, you're here. He was here. Hi, ciao. Giacomo.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
yes.
It's okay. We've been running for about an hour and a half now. Do you want to just run through a load?
And me, I was talking about erotic comics now.
Oh, I know. It got censored. Yeah. It's,
okay.
Could you share a load of your pictures? You know, showing. I know you're a little bit kind of bashful. You don't want, but all them really big murals you've done on the side of buildings, things like that you've got on your computer. Can you just flick through a few of those, and everyone can see what amazing work you do? And then it will probably be time to wind it up.
But me, I'm interested in the question.
Share screen.
Share screen. Okay, this one I showed to you already. No, I was saying, Peter.
Yeah.
Me, I'm interested also in the question. Question of people.
Well, okay, we've got one from Helen or Ellie. Very interesting, Giacomo. Love to see more of your photographs. Thanks to all at Grow for another great talk.
Okay.
These are the pictures. This is the stuff we want to see. Come on.
Okay. Allora, this is the Abdullah Jalo workshop wall.
Yep. Just keep whizzing through them.
And this is Abdullah Jalo with Margaret, his wife. Okay, now I'll show you some picture. This is him. Okay, this part of the blog is all about Africa. Dakar. This is a colorful painting, which also you can see also there.
See,
it's a reproduction basically of this one, which is what I was saying to you before, the first painting that I did in London, in Finsbury Park, which actually I'm going to show you because it's here. You see, that's why we need website, because it's all in one place. So London 3. This is my backdated website. This is a forced collaboration which I did with Mustafa Alouzi, which is a famous artist. He pasted two of these his poster in a container. This one, it was in at the beginning of Shoreditch in Hackney Road, next to the where there is the little park. And so I took over his poster and I made it become two psychedelic glasses Google of my face. And this was January 2012 in Shoreditch. This is the majority of these, actually, almost all of them are all painting that I did without permission. This one is a heart that I did in between Omerton and Hackney Week, basically. Yeah. You can still actually see this one, but it's been covered. And it was this green art in Hackney. This one is the wall that is in Clapton that I took over and I did several times. I did it 5 or 6 times, a bit like the wall at the Grove that I kept painting over and over. And in my book, there are, you see, so this is the wall, how I found it, basically. Very dirty and ruined and stuff. Then I painted in yellow, then in pink, then in blue, then in black, and now there is even another version of it. This is a detail. This one is another painting that I did. I used to do many that I don't even remember them all. All very quick and quite simple. This one is in club. This is very close to here. It was, because it lasted for very little. This one used to be in Dalston. And from this one as well, I made the print. By chance, I have just here 10, so only 1 year after I did this, the same wall of before, you see, with the same door. And then this one I made it with another 2 colleagues of mine. One is Muralist, which he did the painting with all the circle in front of the Grove a few years ago. Now it's disappeared. And this is Basic, another friend. And this one, it was we entered in a factory in Greenwich, and I did this painting with them. If I go to London 2, this one is just next door to me. Is a wall that I keep on painting all the time. This one, it was in Ridley Road Market, in one of the kind of cardboard section. This one is also here in Clapton. I mean, I haven't moved much if I look at the stuff. This one, it was on the back of the foundry in Old Street. It was, the year is, it must be 2011 as well. Chinaman. This one, I did it the day that Prince William got married. So there was nobody on the street. There were everyone in front of the TV watching the wedding. Me, I went out and did this. This one is in Acklewick, in the ring, in the very famous ring of concrete. There used to be 92 White Post Lane before they built the red building, new building, which now is old. And that one used to be the place where moving from South London to North London, then South again. Then I came in Hackney, and every Sunday we were going to this place where I also met Ruben for the first time, and Zenz and Basque, and a lot of local graffiti artists. This one as well, again, it's the same place. Now it's disappeared. I mean, I remember when it was over, it was a tragedy, because where are we going to paint now? It's like they took us our playground away. This one is still there. If you see, this red end is still on the back of that building. This door as well is gone. Those are rather.
So looking towards the future, we've got from Dom Mino, we've got a question. So people are actually sending me questions. This is how famous you are. Dom Mino says, any plans for future exhibition when time allows, and publishing a new collection of artworks as a book? What's your plans?
Me at the moment, I have several projects that I'm bringing all together, and I do have an exhibition planned in April, when it's going to be possible. So on the second half of April with Nelly Duff, which is the gallery which I'm collaborating now, which is in Columbia Road. And I want to propose an exhibition made with the sketches of murals. So the element of the sketch, which is very important because, well, it's the first idea that you throw down on paper regarding a wall. And so I want to propose this exhibition, which is actually already scheduled for half of April. And yeah, and this is one. Then I'm also doing a release of a print with them, but also with another gallery in Italy, where I'm creating a series of print, which they're gonna go in a box. So it's gonna be like a sort of set. And it also is gonna contain a publication with a bit of a story inside. So I'm writing this story and I'm illustrating it as well. And inside there's going to be like more complex and also but also more easy and more sketched and fresh drawings in this little book which I'm producing. And then again, when the time is going to allow it, I'm planning some work in Italy to do, some walls outside, and I really hope that I'm going to be able to go up and down in Italy without too much stress and too much complication.
Yeah.
Traveling, if you don't have to travel, well, many issues, you don't have many issues are not part of the reality, but otherwise it's complicated.
Well, wow, Giacomo, I think this is a point where we
and also many other things. I wanted to say that now I have this place, which is my studio, but it's also a little gallery space where potentially I can create event, exhibition, music, culture, and everything. And so this is all have to start, still have to start.
Yeah. On April the 12th.
Yeah. But it's very promising because in the place where it is, I have a lot of support of people around here, and they made my life much easier for many things. And yeah, it's got a lot of potential.
I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing, like, just like what's like the tip of an iceberg of incredible stories. Really is.
Well, I like that.
Yeah, and I know everyone who's watching, everyone who's been part of the Zoom has been really enthralled by this and your amazing work, which is absolutely stunning. From Lower Clapton to Senegal, to Gambia, to China, to Ancona, to the squat social centre culture there, where I bumped into you about 10 years ago, probably.
La Cuba.
Yeah, La Cuba. And I just want to say thank you so much for doing this talk. No. And thank you for being the artist in residence, the strangest artist in residence we've ever had.
Totally. Yeah, I didn't even much get there to talk about that, but yeah, it's been a strange experience, but amazing.
Well, maybe we'll do another one.
Yeah.
Ron, okay. Giacomo.
Oh, I hope to see you soon from live.
Yeah. And once again, thanks to our amazing engineer. We never see his face. But he's there in the background. pulling the strings, making everything work. David, thank you. Thank you everyone for coming. Giacomo.
Okay.
Grazie mille.
Thanks to you. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.